welcome to IU East's 2021 Student Showcase Awards presentation. My name is Carrie Longley and I'm an Associate Professor of Fine Arts at IU East. As with many events over the past year, this will be our first student exhibition celebrated completely virtually. Since last spring, our students, faculty, and staff have met the many challenges of learning and teaching the fine arts online or with limited access to the specialized equipment and materials necessary for art making. However, through creative problem-solving, adaptation, perseverance, our students have applied the elements and principles of design and learned and refined techniques to create the works of art we celebrate with this showcase. For this year's exhibition, students were invited to submit 2 pieces completed in any of our studio courses over the past academic year. On behalf of myself and the Fine Arts faculty and staff, I would like to thank and congratulate our students who participated in this year's exhibition and encourage their continued growth, exploration, and expression through the fine arts. It takes courage to share your artwork with an audience of viewers outside of your family, friends, and classmates. But exhibitions such as this provide artists with an invaluable opportunity to network amongst a broader community of artists and viewers. We applaud your willingness to share your work and encourage you to actively seek out additional exhibition opportunities. Without further delay, I would like to introduce this year's guest judge for the showcase, Eric Hall. Eric is originally from Economy, Indiana, and is a 2016 graduate of our Fine Arts program. He recently served as our January 2021 featured artist. Eric actively exhibits his ceramic artwork within the region. He now resides in Dayton, Ohio, where he teaches art at Chaminade Julienne High School. Now please welcome this year's guest judge, artist, educator, and IU East alum, Eric Hall.
Hello everyone, I'm your guest judge this year. My name is Eric Hall. I am so happy to have seen your work this year specifically. I saw so many amazing things and I really appreciate you having the confidence to show your work. I know a lot of times artwork, when you put yourself out there, you become a little bit vulnerable, specifically when you're a learning and growing artist. So I really appreciate all of you submitting your work this year. And I just want to say, I don't know you personally, but I'm really proud of you, all of you, for being able to, like I said, take that step of confidence and display your work for all of us to see. I want to start off first by saying, again, congratulations. And our first honorable mention that I chose was Risa Griffin's I Feel Everything, a ceramic piece. I want to start by saying too that I chose this piece because of the emotional narrative that I saw. And the first thing that came to mind was when you see a face or when you see things that have eyes, nose, and a mouth, you associate it with a human being a lot of times. And I see a vulnerable bag or a head that's kind of being manipulated by this dark creature, like a form that's squeezing it. And I know that this piece is made of ceramic, but it takes a lot of skill to make ceramic look like a material that it isn't. And when I see this piece, it kind of has it has a memory or like a fuzzy feeling to it. And the bag seems fragile and it seems frail. And I know that we all can feel that way at some point in our lives. And the idea of using a ceramic medium, which is strong and tough, and making it look vulnerable, I think is an extremely difficult feat to do. So I really appreciate that Risa went there and kind of made that piece of ceramic a little bit more vulnerable in this piece, I Feel Everything. So that is why I ultimately chose this as the honorable mention. All right, the second piece I chose for honorable mention is Kaya Page Saylor's Haunted House Cookie Jar. And this is also a ceramic piece. I again chose this piece because it has like this really eerie feeling to it. When I first saw this piece, it brings a lot of questions to mind. I know that, again, it's made of ceramic, but whenever you have a piece of ceramic, you often think of either like a pottery piece or something that's bright and usable. But this has this really dark, like narrative to it that has all these motifs that are grounded in neutral colors and dark shades. And it makes me want to ask the question about the history of this piece. Even though it's made by a person and I know it's constructed out of clay, the physical process of the piece was so interesting to me, especially how impressed I was by all the little details, like the little shingles that are on the roof, and the way that it has those, it almost has like this gold gilded color, which you know that some people gild things that might not necessarily be pretty, to make them look a little more valuable. And I feel like this house has that really cool gilded feel, but it also is super grounded in neutral color. And I ultimately chose it because it really makes me ask a lot of questions, and I wanted to look at it for a while. So anytime I look at a piece of art, if it makes me want to ask questions or look at it longer, I think it's a very solid piece. So Kaya Page Taylor, you have the honorable mention for this one. The third honorable mention I chose is Richie Shink's In Dreams, a digital piece of art. I chose this piece because I thought it had a really cool juxtaposition of the doors being wide open with the depth of geometry that really makes this feel like a dreamlike state. I'm pretty fascinated by the choice of having so many triangles, and it's kind of associated with the Louvre and the architecture, which you can see kind of in the distance of this piece, and using that triangle almost as like a setting for this piece. And as the perspective goes in the distance, you finally see that final triangle. And I really enjoyed how there's a young person sitting and they're kind of looking into the distance and doing that like futuristic gaze, so to speak. And anytime you see someone doing that, I personally like to think of, when you're doing that, you have this state of mind where you're really focusing on personal growth and really what comes from that. And in this piece, it kind of comes full circle because you see them looking in the distance, and look, they're in the setting, they're looking at the Louvre, which obviously is full of the most amazing pieces of art. And they're also a young person, so you get to see, it's like a physical state of consciousness of being able to know that you're actually a young growing artist. And I know that that might not be necessarily the narrative of this piece, but when I saw this and the way that the doors are kind of swinging open into this really cool geometric world, I like to think of it as kind of like a fresh start, like a door being opened up into the mind of all this beautiful art, and you're kind of learning and being thrown into this world of all this unlimited possibility. For the third place piece, I chose Lisa Foltz's Fingerprints of Time. I chose this piece because it's like the impact that we all have on the footprint of the world. And I know this piece is about fingerprints, but we do talk about leaving our footprint anytime that we're doing something that has to do with the world. And in this piece, I see like a passing of time with the fingerprints that are being used in the background. And the negative space is really full of these. And they're all like these lines, which creates like a spiral of almost like infinite direction. And within this negative space, I see like these earthly elements, and we see these trees and their emblems that are interwoven into the fabric, kind of like a motif that mimics the fabric of time, so to speak. And I know this piece is called Fingerprints of Time. So when I saw that, I instantly thought of fingerprints, and I also thought about the fabric of time and how everything is interwoven in. It looks like it's made of like this cloth or fabric, but it is acrylic on canvas. So you get these really cool elements that seem like a mixed media piece. And with that kind of in mind, using the fabrics and the footprints of time, we all are going through time together, and we all see this change and this come and go. And in this piece, we see like a winter kind of scene, and we see the trees kind of interwoven within this, and we see some color. And I really think that it's very much a representation of literally the fingerprints of time that we're all part of. So I'm really glad that Lisa was able to kind of convey that in a piece of art, and I really appreciate the way that they did that. All right, for the second place, I chose Johanna Oswald's Petal Vase, a ceramic piece. I just want to say that I really love this piece because of the process and kind of like its physical construction. I'm kind of fascinated by this weathered effect. It has like almost this like ancient appearance, and I really love like the dichotomy of this ancient appearance because it has like this weathered look, but also has like these freshly bloomed colorful flowers that are like attached to the surface. When I think of like flowers or things that are freshly like bloomed, I think of it symbolizing kind of like new life and like a rebirth of ideas, so to speak. So I thought this piece was extremely beautiful, not only because of it has like this triangle shape, but it's kind of got like these bellies that are hanging over. And I really love that smoothness that's happening. around the edge, but it also has like this little bit of roughness in the way that it is actually decorated that I really thought was super cool, especially with kind of the idea of it looking ancient a little bit, but it has this really awesome flower petally feel of it being all about this new life feeling. I don't know if that was Johanna's specific intention, but when I saw that piece, I was blown away by that use of the actual medium itself. All right, for the first place winner of this year's show, I chose Julia Jackson, and her piece is titled Winter Abstraction. And this is an acrylic on canvas. I ultimately chose this piece because I think it has this extremely beautiful harmony of this vertical composition. And when you look at this piece, Julia did an amazing job of using these neutral blue tones that are kind of interwoven with this warm, peachy sunlight that's kind of piercing through that dark neutral blue. And I also got like this sense of reflection and perspective. And when I personally saw this, I actually didn't know the title yet. So knowing that it is a winter scene, it almost like perfectly matched, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit. But I kind of connected those two things without knowing what the title was. And there's something beautiful about a winter scene or a winter sunset that kind of brings so much color, regardless of the fact that winter is mostly muted colors. And when we see winter, or when we see winter coming, the leaves fall off the trees, right? It starts to get gray and white, and the blue sky isn't as blue as we normally would like it. So we often see these shades of gray, and we kind of compare them to like sadness or depression. So seeing that little bit of light kind of shining through kind of brought like this positive feeling to me. So being able to create beauty from like this limited color palette of blues and grays and these very neutral colors, and then having these pink peachy colors be like the warmth that's kind of guiding you in. I ultimately chose this because of how it made me feel. And I think in art, sometimes it is very important to make a piece of art that does make you feel pretty good, but it also kind of is important to have the person who's looking at it have some sense of emotion or feeling. And Julia did such an amazing job on this piece of making me feel something, and it was extremely important. So I just want to say to Julia's first place piece, I absolutely love this, and congratulations on getting first place. It's a beautiful piece of art. All right. Thank you all so much for allowing me to take time to judge your pieces of art. I really appreciate, again, all the confidence that you have in submitting works of art for me to see specifically. And I also want you to look at the other pieces of art in this show, and I hope you really enjoyed them as much as I did. I thought all the pieces that I chose and all the pieces that I saw were extremely good pieces of art. And always remember that you can always improve and always do better. And if you didn't get chosen, you always have a chance to do more in the future as well. So never let it make you or take you down or bring you down. You always have the potential to do more in the future. So I also want to say thank you so much again for allowing me to look at all these pieces of art. I think they're all beautiful. You're doing very good jobs. And in the future, just keep staying positive, keep making art, even if you don't feel like it, and just do your best to make yourself better every single day. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it again. And I hope you guys submit next year.